Shocking facts about Amy Lynn Bradley, the woman who disappeared at sea. Hi, welcome to Mystery Godz, where we discuss and uncover mysterious stories and cases. Today we are looking at the story of Amy Lynn Bradley and some facts about her disappearance at sea. Please do me a favor and subscribe and like if you want more stories similar to this one. Thank you. Let's start. On March 24, 1998. Amy Lynn Bradley went missing from a cruise ship en route to Curacao from Aruba. Although the disappearance of Amy Lynn Bradley did not initially generate the same media response precipitated by other cruise ship disappearances, over time, the baffling circumstances of her case and repeated accounts of her being sighted throughout the Caribbean have elevated the mystery surrounding her fate to a high-profile incident. Additionally, a sinister photograph, purportedly of Amy, surfaced on a maturely themed website in 2005 and added fuel to the theory that the missing woman was forced to sell her body. Around 20 years after her mysterious disappearance, theories about what happened to Amy Lynn Bradley only add to the uncertainty and dread surrounding one of the most disturbing missing person cases in history. Amy Bradley left her family's stateroom and was never seen again. On March 23, 1998, Ron and Eva Bradley, their 23-year-old daughter, Amy, and their son, Brad, were enjoying their third day on the Royal Caribbean cruise ship Rhapsody of the Seas. As the ship docked in Curacao after visiting Aruba, the family attended a dinner party on the upper deck of the ship. Amy and Brad both danced until the early morning hours, and Amy was seen dancing with a band member on a ship disco dance floor. However, both Brad and Amy entered their stateroom between 3:30 and 4 a.m. Ron Bradley would recall seeing his daughter in a chair on the room's balcony when he briefly woke up at approximately 5 a.m. When he woke up again around 6 a.m., Amy was gone. The only missing items were her cigarettes and a lighter. She clearly intended to leave briefly, as she did not even bring shoes, identification, or any other important items with her. Her family never saw her again. A 2005 website photograph showed someone similar to Amy. Since her disappearance in 1998, there have been several alleged sightings of Amy Lynn Bradley. The most disturbing was a 2005 email sent to the Bradley family website, which contained two photographs of a woman. These photographs were observed by a member of an organization that attempts to track potential victims on sites that feature sex workers. The photos depict a scantily clad woman who closely resembles Amy but who also appears to be both distraught and despondent. One of these photos was seen publicly when the Bradley family appeared on the Dr. Phil show. A U.S. serviceman claims to have encountered Amy in a brothel. Another disturbing sighting occurred in January 1999, when a Navy petty officer claimed to have encountered Amy in a hotel brothel in Curacao. Recognizing him as an American, Amy supposedly told the individual her name, said that she was being held against her will, and asked for help. Unfortunately, the officer kept the information to himself, fearing the repercussions that would come with his solicitation of a sex worker. He only contacted the Bradleys through their website after his retirement. A band member may have been involved in Amy's abduction. After dinner on the evening of March 23, Amy Bradley entered the disco of the ship and was observed dancing continuously with a member of a band that was performing on the ship. This individual, Alistair Yellow Douglas, and Amy were even videotaped repeatedly by a camera person producing a promotional piece for the cruise line. Footage surfaced when the video producer heard about Amy's disappearance and assumed she must be in some of the video from the evening in question. After Amy left her room, she was seen near the disco with Douglas at approximately 6 a.m. A witness would subsequently claim to have seen Douglas hand Bradley a dark drink, possibly coffee. Other witnesses saw Douglas leaving the area by himself, but Amy was never seen again. Police eventually cleared Douglas after a polygraph, but before the FBI got a hold of the disco video. Amy was also sighted on a Curacao beach in 1998. In August 1998, a Canadian named David Carmichael encountered two men and a woman walking on the beach near Port of Maria, Curacao. When he spoke in a loud voice in English to a friend who was a few feet away, the woman suddenly turned around and began to walk in his direction. Just as the woman was about to speak with him, one of the two men distinctly signaled to her to walk away. She dejectedly entered a small cafe with the two men but continued to stare at Carmichael whenever she could get his attention. Carmichael had no idea who Amy was, until he eventually saw her profiled on the television show Unsolved Mysteries. When he contacted the Bradleys, he was able to describe Amy's distinctive tattoos, as he observed her from only a few feet away. He claims to be 100% certain that the woman he saw was Amy Bradley. The Bradley family was scammed out of over $200,000 by a fake bunch of Navy SEALs. In probably the most reprehensible chapter of the entire Amy Lynn Bradley incident, in the fall of 1999, an individual named Frank Jones contacted the Bradleys and claimed that Colombian gangsters were holding Amy Lynn on the island of Curacao. Jones claimed to be a former member of American Special Forces, and he offered to help set Amy free. He also claimed he had an eyewitness to Amy's location, a cook who accurately described Amy's tattoos, and even a lullaby she heard Amy sing. Two other former Navy SEALs were sent to Curacao to specifically determine Amy's location. When Jones demanded more money to underwrite the actual armed rescue, the Bradleys asked for concrete proof that their daughter was actually under Jones's team's surveillance. He responded with a photo of a similarly tattooed woman, and the Bradleys paid him the rest of the money. The total came to $210,000. The Bradleys were instructed to fly to Florida to wait for a call from Jones as soon as Amy was recovered. They waited in a hotel for a week before they got a call from one of Jones's associates and determined the whole operation was a scam. The cook, the photos, the Colombians, and the house under surveillance were all a fraud. Jones, who had never been in the Special Forces, eventually pled guilty to mail fraud and got a 5-year sentence and an order to make restitution. Amy may have been spotted in Barbados. In 2005, a woman named Judy Muller was in a Bridgetown, Barbados, women's restroom stall when she suddenly heard two men loudly enter the bathroom and begin screaming and threatening a woman in a different stall. Muller waited for a few minutes and then exited the stall to find a very upset woman hunched over the sink area. The woman allegedly told Judy Muller her name was Amy and that she was from Virginia. Seconds later, the two men re-entered the bathroom and forcibly removed Amy from Virginia. Judy Muller provided the FBI with descriptions of the two men and the woman. Amy from Virginia strongly resembled the two online, racy photos sent around the same time to the Bradleys. Strange incidents preceded Amy's disappearance. Even before Amy disappeared, there were a few odd instances around the ship. 3 of the waiters on the ship were quite friendly with Amy, almost immediately. While the ship was docked in Aruba, one of them even asked Amy's father about her whereabouts by name. When asked why he was looking for her, he told Mr. Bradley that they, presumably members of the wait staff, wanted to take her to Carlos and Charlie's, the same bar that Natalie Holloway disappeared from in 2005. Amy subsequently told her father that the waiters gave her the creeps, and she didn't want anything to do with them. That night, when the ship staff posted photos taken of all of the dinner participants, Amy's mother noticed that all of her daughter's photos were missing. Despite the gallery supervisor clearly remembering they were posted earlier, the cruise line refused to cooperate or provide an appropriate search. After the Bradleys determined Amy was missing, they frantically asked the ship's purser to back the ship away from the dock and prevent any guests from leaving. They also requested an announcement be made concerning Amy's disappearance. By the time a cursory search of the ship began, many of the ship's guests and staff had already left the vessel for the day. The family was subsequently told that no announcement would be made and no photographs would be posted concerning Amy's disappearance, as this would be too disturbing to other passengers. The Bradleys left the ship in Curacao but flew to the next stop to subsequently reboard when they were told by the FBI the search for Amy had only included bathrooms and common areas and ignored staterooms and employee living quarters. The FBI eventually boarded the ship, but their investigation went nowhere. A human jawbone might be from Amy's remains. In late 2010, probably as a result of environmental turmoil caused by Hurricane Tomasz, a human jawbone washed up on a beach in Aruba. It was quickly determined to have no connection to Natalie Holloway, another woman who had disappeared around the same time. Once local authorities determined the jawbone was not connected to the Holloway case, they ceased any further testing. Despite the fact that Amy Lynn Bradley and up to as many as 9 other Caribbean vacationers were said to have disappeared in the 15 years prior to the Holloway case. Because dental records were able to rule out any connection to Natalie Holloway, no DNA testing was ever done on the material. However, the tests performed did determine that the jawbone came from a Caucasian person. A $250,000 reward is still offered for information about Amy's whereabouts. The last suspected sighting of Amy Bradley occurred in 2005. Possibly to help generate interest and keep Amy's story in the public eye, a $250,000 reward is currently offered on the Bradley family website. The FBI is also offering a $25,000 reward for information leading to her recovery or information about the individuals responsible for her disappearance. In March 2017, the FBI released a public service video detailing the facts surrounding Amy's disappearance, along with an appeal for information concerning the case or Amy's current whereabouts.